She mopped floors in silence, until one overheard conversation in German changed her life. The CEO stopped in his tracks. What she said left the entire office speechless. And what he did next, no one saw coming. At Harrington Tech, a sleek, state-of-the-art software company nestled in the heart of New York City, everything ran like a well-oiled machine. Glass walls reflected fluorescent lights. Keycards buzzed, phones rang, and the hum of innovation filled every hallway. The office was a fast-paced blur of coffee-fueled meetings, product launches, and million-dollar ideas scribbled across digital whiteboards. Executives in suits zipped through corridors. Analysts typed furiously. Interns rehearsed presentations under their breath. And through it all, Elena quietly pushed her cleaning cart. She was the night janitor. The woman no one really noticed. Always early, always efficient, always invisible. She moved through those same glass hallways with grace and purpose, mopping floors, dusting keyboards, emptying trash cans with precision. And just like that, before sunrise, she'd vanish without a trace. Most employees didn't know her name. Some barely nodded when passing by. No one asked where she was from. No one thought to. But what they didn't see was that Elena was always listening. Not eavesdropping, but absorbing. As whiteboards filled with complex software diagrams. She paused, not because she was confused, but because she was connecting the dots. When the European division visited and held meetings in French, German, or Italian, she didn't miss a beat. She didn't just understand, she processed everything. 9 languages, 2 degrees. A former linguistics professor back home. Elena once taught students about syntax trees and semantic networks. She helped design machine translation systems. But her world was shattered when political unrest forced her to flee her country. Her qualifications didn't transfer. Her identity was stripped. And like so many before her, she took whatever job would help her survive. That job? Janitorial. Night shift at Harrington Tech. She never complained, never showed resentment. She just worked silently, holding brilliance behind her humility. But deep inside her, a fire still burned. Because you can bury talent beneath a uniform, but you can't extinguish it. And all it would take was one moment, one slip of truth, one overheard word. To change her life forever. It began like any other quiet evening. The sun had dipped below the city skyline. Most employees had packed up and left. The office lights dimmed to energy-saving mode, casting long shadows across the modern furniture and high-gloss floors. And as usual, Elena moved silently between cubicles, emptying trash bins and wiping down desks, just another part of the building's nightly reset. But in the glass-walled conference room near the executive wing, 2 visiting investors remained. They were deep in discussion, speaking in German, voices low, assuming no one could understand. Their words weren't just technical. They were manipulative, talking about inflating figures, twisting data, and reshaping terms in a way that would undermine the company's leadership. One of them scoffed and added a smug remark about the CEO. He's too naive to see it coming. Americans always are. They chuckled. And that's when it happened. As Elena passed the doorway, she paused just long enough to respond without looking up. In perfect, confident German, she said, "That's not only unethical, it's short-sighted. And by the way, your projections are off by 17%. The entire room fell silent. One investor stood up abruptly. "What did you say?" Elena finally looked up and met their eyes. Calm, steady, not apologetic. Still in flawless German, she replied, "I also speak French, Mandarin, and Arabic. Would you prefer one of those?" The color drained from their faces, but what Elena didn't know was that James Weller, the CEO of Harrington Tech, had just walked into the corridor behind her and heard everything. He'd come back to grab a forgotten briefcase, but instead, he stopped in his tracks, frozen in disbelief. He stepped forward slowly, eyes locked on Elena. "Who are you?" he asked, almost in a whisper. That question didn't just come from curiosity. It came from awe. Because for the first time, someone had truly seen her, not as the janitor, not as background noise, but as someone impossible to ignore. Sometimes it only takes one moment, one sentence, to flip the power in the room completely. That night, Elena received a message she never expected. She was asked to come to the executive floor, a place she'd only ever seen through glass walls. A place where suits made million-dollar decisions while she mopped quietly in the background. She entered hesitantly, still in her janitor's uniform, her heart pounding in her chest. Inside a spacious, modern conference room, James Weller, the CEO himself, waited. No boardroom buzz, no assistants, just him and her. He gestured for her to sit. Still stunned, Elena complied. James leaned forward, his voice calm but curious. You speak 9 languages? She nodded, a little cautiously. Yes, I have degrees in comparative linguistics and artificial intelligence from the University of Vienna and Sorbonne. James blinked. That's impressive. Then why are you cleaning offices? Her answer was soft but strong. I fled my country during political unrest. My degrees didn't transfer. I applied for jobs in education and tech, but no one would look past my accent or my uniform. So I started over. She smiled, not with bitterness, but resilience. And sometimes, starting over means swallowing your pride to survive. James leaned back, silent for a moment, then leaned in again. Do you know how rare you are? In this very building, my team is developing a real-time language translation software. We've poured millions into it, but we keep failing. Why? Because our models don't understand cultural nuance, but you do. He stood and walked over to the whiteboard, writing a word in Japanese, followed by its flawed English translation. Can you fix this? Yes. Elena stood, picked up a marker, and not only corrected it, but explained why the phrasing would offend a native speaker in Tokyo. James turned, impressed, inspired. I'm not offering you charity. I'm offering you a real position one. That matches your brilliance. Elena blinked, stunned. You're offering me a job? James smiled. Not just a job. A chance to finally be seen. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to recognize your light, and the entire world changes course. Didn't take long for the transformation to begin. Just weeks after that fateful night, Elena walked into Harrington Tech not in Janitor blues but in a blazer and badge as the newest member of the Language and AI Development Division. Her desk now sat near the glass offices she used to clean, and the same employees who once brushed past her with indifferent nods. Now, they stopped to greet her with admiration, respect, and curiosity. But Elena didn't just rise in title, she elevated the entire department. She quickly identified fundamental flaws in Harrington's real-time translation software. It wasn't just about words, it was about culture. The AI lacked emotional intelligence, it misread tone, it butchered idioms. It translated literally, not contextually. Elena fixed all that. She rewrote key protocols, designed multilingual testing, simulations, and launched an internal training program on cross-cultural communication. Her most groundbreaking work? A government collaboration project. She led a multilingual team that secured a multi-million-dollar federal contract for Harrington Tech to develop translation tools for international diplomats and peacekeeping forces. Her name made headlines. From janitor to genius, woman who speaks 9 languages now leads AI innovation. Immigrant Story of the Year. Tech CEO gives overlooked talent a shot, and it pays off big. The world noticed. But Elena didn't chase attention. She stayed grounded, humble, focused. Because to her, it was never about status. It was about impact. She used her new position to lift others like her. She partnered with refugee organizations and immigrant resource centers to create a hiring pipeline for overqualified but overlooked individuals, coders, teachers, scientists, engineers, all hidden in plain sight, working survival jobs just like she had. She gave them a voice, a seat at the table, and a chance to be seen. Because Elena knew better than anyone sometimes. Brilliance wears a uniform society chooses to ignore. And now? She was building a bridge between who people think you are and who you truly are. 1 year later, the entire company gathered for the annual Harrington Tech Innovation Summit, an event where teams unveiled progress, shared future plans, and celebrated standout achievements. The auditorium was packed. Executives, interns, coders, and investors filled every seat. And when James Weller, the CEO, took the stage, no one expected what came next. He went through the usual updates: financial growth, global partnerships, tech expansions. Then he paused, smiled. I want to end today with a story, he said. The lights dimmed slightly as he clicked to the final slide of his presentation. A photo appeared on a massive screen. Elena, smiling, clipboard in hand, standing beside her AI research team. James pointed toward the screen. This is the smartest person in this building. The room burst into spontaneous applause. Some employees stood. Others whispered, "That's her," with awe. Then, From the side of the stage, Elena walked out, not as a janitor, not as a surprise, but as the honored guest. Wearing a modest but elegant suit, she approached the microphone. Her expression was calm, her words clear, strong. Unforgettable. A year ago, I was cleaning these very hallways. I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, but I was watching. I was learning. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle.